All right. Hey, Sam here from Dragonforce, your favorite power metal band. Um, Looking more handsome than I usually do because of the new Zoom settings. So there you go. Um, yeah, we got a new album coming out called Warp Speed Warriors, because that's what we are. We're warriors that go at warp speed. Um, and it's coming out pretty soon. I think it's 31st of March. You might have to correct me on that, Chris. You probably know more than I do.
I've got 15th of March here.
All right. Well, shows how much I do. Spent 4 years working on it, and I don't even know the release date.
Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Yeah, no worries, anytime.
And I think the filter you're talking about is it's called a beanie, mate. It's a beanie that's made it look like it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you did notice that I brushed the rest of my hair, especially for you.
Oh, I did like the last 3 strands you've got left over. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, like, it's better to have 3 than none.
I
So,
thought about having a shave for you, but then I thought, nah, fuck that. You ain't gonna do it for me.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone always says to me, "Why don't you just cut it off?" And I'm like, "Well, I think I look better with a beanie and some hair than no beanie and no hair. So I'll keep it. Thank you very much."
You look like a full criminal with a beanie with hair. With a beanie and no hair, you look like a half try-hard criminal. So keep the full one going.
Yeah. There you go. I'm an out of date. I'm a 2006 metalcore musician.
Oh, Jesus. We'll move on from that one real quick. So Dragonforce released your new album, Warp Speed Warriors, on March 15th, bro. So how are you feeling about it?
Great, actually. Yeah, I really like it. It's funny because I mean, like every band always says, "Oh, we're just so happy to finish it because we've been working on it for ages." But it is definitely the case. I mean, well, I started working on that right when lockdown started, which is a long time ago. I think it was like 2000 and February 2020. Is that when everyone kind of went home? And yeah, so yeah, well, you were home anyway. But yeah, so I mean, because we had so much time to work on it, I just sort of worked on it very slowly. And in the end, unfortunately, I ended up getting a bit sick of all this. I just heard it to death, and like I never got an end to it because I was just like, oh, I can improve this one, I can improve that one. And so I just carried on, like never stopping, because normally it's good to have a deadline and you finish your album and you go, right, that's what it is. But I had so much time to keep improving things and whatever, which is nice as well, but it was also kind of a pain in the ass. So now that it's finished, I haven't listened to it for like the last few months. And then I put it on the other day when the first Astro Warriors anthem song came out the other day, and I saw the video. I was like, oh, I can finally actually enjoy this song for what it is, instead of going, oh, well, there's a little bit there I want to change, a bit there I want to change. And actually that chorus of that song was different. It's a bit of a nerdy musician's facts for you, but yeah, I changed the chorus of that like probably only 2 months before we finished the album. And before that, it was a different chorus, which I didn't think was as good. And it was just annoying me for like 3 years. I was going, oh, it's almost amazing, but not quite. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to bin it and start again, because I kept like trying to adjust it. But yeah, in the end, it turned out good. So long answer to say that yes, I do like our album, and it's more heavy and more melodic than all the other ones. Actually, yeah, that old classic line. It's actually like, I'd love to say one day it's actually lighter and less melodic, but that's not really true.
It's
either.
not really true, is it? So along those lines, mate, can you dive a bit deeper into it musically for us and what you're going for? Like, is it what fans would expect from Dragonforce?
Yeah, for sure. And I think well, we released the first 2 songs, Power of the Triforce, which is like songs that are about Zelda and stuff, because we all like that game. And then we released Doomsday Party, which are they're both a little bit different for us. And but you know, it's like, and we had a few people going, oh, well, that doesn't sound like Dragonforce. But it's like, if we release another 200 BPM song, which is our kind of standard Dragonforce style, everyone goes, oh, it sounds the same as everything else. So you honestly can't win. But I mean, depends how much you care about people's reading comments on YouTube. I mean, I still read them because you want to boost your ego and feel good that people, not everyone.
You occasionally get one, eh?
But everyone does. Anyone that says they don't read them are full of shit. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's like with all our albums, we always try and just keep our same style, because obviously we actually like playing that style as the main reason. I mean, I still love playing fast 200 BPM power metal even after 20 years. It's still like my favorite kind of music. And then we'll try and chuck a few other things in, just to not be, you know, like our first 2 albums, every single song was fast. And but at that point I had never written fast power metal songs before, so I had a million ideas, and I wanted them all to be fast. So, you know, now 20 years later, I don't mind throwing in a mid-tempo song like Power of the Triforce or the Doomsday Party. We got one other slower one, but they're still heavy. So it's just like all about keeping ourselves happy, which is at the end of the day the reason you do music. But you do want to keep your fan base in mind too. I mean, if I wanted to go and do a jazz project or something, I wouldn't force it into Dragonforce. I would just go and do that on something on the side. So, you know, I think we like it, and I think our fans should like it too. And if they don't, well, they can listen to something else.
But jumping off subject.
If they don't know, okay. If they don't like it, we're very sorry, but we tried our best to keep everyone happy. And if you're still not happy, then well, you can go to something else.
Jumping off subject for a bit, mate. If you did start a jazz side band, what would you call it?
Well, to be fair, jazz is one of my least favorite sorts of music, so probably more chance of me starting a barbershop quartet than that. Which...
Cool, right? Now, the press release calls Warp Speed Warriors your most ambitious and innovative full length so far. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, because you have to agree with your press release. No, I'm joking.
I didn't write it.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, we tried. I honestly think, like, when people say, "What's your favorite album?" and I like them all equally, because at the time we released them, that was the absolute best we could do, and that's the same with this one. So, I mean, there's definitely, but I really think that all are. I mean, obviously, you can't say, well, it's our second most innovative or album, you know, like, so, but I just think that like every album, we've always, like I said in the previous answer, like we'll try and keep all the original things that people like about Dragonforce and what we like about it, and bring in a bunch of new stuff too, which is what we've done here as well. So there's definitely stuff we've never done before, which is, I think, if you don't at least do some things you've never done before, then it's kind of boring. So yes, I fully agree with our press release.
Oh, well, I get you to elaborate on that a bit more for us too, like the things that you've never done before. What are they?
I mean, it can be really simple stuff. Like, for example, Power of the Triforce. It's a 200 BPM song with a 4/4 drum beat, which is something we've never done before. But saying that simple thing, it dictates how the rest of the song is going to sound. So we haven't got any songs at that. The first thing I always do when I'm trying to write a song, I actually decide on the drum beat before anything else, because that obviously makes a huge difference to how the song is going to sound overall. So and that was, so even something that sounds like, oh, we did a new drum beat, which is like the most 4/4 drum beat, which is the most standard unoriginal drum beat in music, but it's also something we've never done before. So, you know, and now we've got a song that sounds quite different to all the others. So things like that, you know, I mean, when it comes to lead guitars and solos, I'm always trying to like just do a few new licks or something that I haven't done in the past. Same with Herman. I know he's doing the same thing just to keep it interesting. You know, you can play your own, you know, we've been playing a long time, so it's quite easy to just, you've got your kind of bag full of tricks that you can use, but it's good to always try and learn some new ones and change it around a bit. So that stuff too. There's I think like middle sections of songs, that's where we sort of try and experiment more. So I don't know, for example, any middle section of any song, you might find something. The middle of Astro Warriors Anthem, for example, there's a kind of I won't sing it to you, but yeah, it's like a middle section and a different sort of tempo, a bit of different feel. It's like a bit less it's a bit more chromatic sounding, if that makes sense. And then it kind of goes into, yeah, I don't know. You got to listen to it. It's hard to explain music in words.
Now, looking through the film clips, like, they seem to have a massive sci-fi element to them. So is Warp Speed Warriors a sci-fi concept album?
I wouldn't say it's a concept album. It's more in the same way. I was thinking about this actually too, because I thought, well, I mean, everything on there we like, but I thought, well, when you think about Iron Maiden Power Slave, for example, you think, oh, it's an Egyptian themed album, but it's actually not. There's songs about World War II. There's songs about like, what's the one about the sword fighting, the duelist or whatever. So actually, if you think about it, and then there's 2 Minutes to Midnight, and actually, even though that cover art makes you think it's an Egyptian concept, and their, you know, Live After Death tour was that too, actually all the songs on the album are quite different and about different topics. And I think that's kind of what we wanted to go for with this, and in the same way as the previous album. We've kind of found our sort of niche in the video game stuff, and we love all those kind of themes and concepts and imagery. But and same with sci-fi. So there's a couple of sci-fi songs, there's a couple of songs that aren't sci-fi, and there's a bit of a mixture. But I mean, as far as when you say that sci-fi concept, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say the artwork is kind of sci-fi, but at the same time, it's also like it's inspired by the old beat 'em up games from like the arcades in the 80s and 90s. So yeah, I mean, there's sci-fi in there, but it's not a concept album.
Yeah. It's a shame, because I reckon you look fantastic as an alien, bro.
What, with a full face mask? Is that what you're trying to say?
Take that however you will.
Yeah.
And the album was produced, mixed, and mastered at Mix Unlimited with yourself and Herman Lee helping out. So, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing that process with people in the band?
Well, it's good to, yeah, you bounce ideas off each other, obviously. There's a lot of things I mean, I'm doing most of the music writing, but I'm not actually into stuff like technical stuff. Like, I've always left all finding guitar sounds, gear, and anything gear related. Herman's much better than I am, so we kind of need each other to get to the final result of the album. And so that's the point. I mean, I'm quite happy to write stuff on my own, but then when it comes to mixing it, I'm actually leaving that more to Herman and Damien. So I mean, obviously I'd need to like it too, but from all our past albums, I always do like what they come up with, so I'm pretty confident that I'll like it. But as far as it's more about balancing instruments and the stuff where I'll have an input. You know, if I've written some guitar line that I really like and they're trying to bury it with something else, then I'll be like, oh no, bring that back, please. But yeah, it's definitely good to have all three of us, and sometimes we'll yeah, just you might we have quite a democratic way of doing things. If two people think something's good, then we'll be like, okay, well, it must be good, so the other person has to kind of agree. But most of the time that works, and it's quite a good system, actually.
Yeah, sweet. Now, you also got a cover of Wildest Dream by Taylor Swift on the album. Like, was that your choice?
No, it wasn't actually. That came from Herman, which is so I said, oh, I wanted to do something for my generation. I was like, you know, because Taylor Swift's obviously the younger generation, and I'm an old bastard. But yeah, no, Herman. I think the story Herman told me, because I was saying, why do you don't like Taylor Swift? So what are we doing that for? And he was going, no, it's quite good, because he had a daughter about 4 years ago, and apparently that was the only thing he could play to get her to go to sleep. So he ended up knowing a load of Taylor Swift songs, and he was like, "Oh, they're not too bad actually." So he was like, "Oh, we'll pick a Taylor Swift song and we'll turn it into a Dragonforce." So I was like, "All right," and I had to listen to a few of them, and I thought that one was kind of catchy actually. I thought, well, it's got quite a catchy melody in it, and I felt like that could be turned into a fast power metal song without too much trouble. So there it is.
Right, there you go. And you also feature 4 bonus tracks with Matt Hafey, Nita Strauss, Elisa White-Glutz, and Elise Reed. I can't even say her last name. Is it Reed? Right.
Well, I always thought it was Rid, but apparently she told me it's. I'll probably get it wrong here. I think it's like Rude or some weird Swedish pronunciation, but she told me it's Rude or something like that. And that was about 3 years ago. She told me that, so I've kind of forgotten again. I have to get an update.
However you pronounce it, she's on there, but it's a different way to do it, actually. Like, you've got the songs that have got guest artists are actually all bonus tracks on the album. I don't think I've seen a band do that before, but it's an interesting way to do
it. Yeah, well, I think it's kind of cool, because it's like I always thought, like, as far as having guests, where I feel like sometimes as a fan, like, I would like to hear the song with only if you don't like the guest, then it's kind of a bit of a waste of a song for some people. You know what I mean? Like, if I heard Metallica or whoever I like do a song with a guest I don't like, then I'd be like, oh, I wish he just sang it all himself. So so kind of it's almost like giving something to everyone. You know, I love all the songs with the guest versions, but you know, we want people to hear. The people that want to hear just Mark, then and I'm one of those people. You know, I like to hear the whole song with just Mark too. So it's almost like, yeah, just covering all the bases and giving something for everyone. and it's cool to hear two versions of it too, I think.
All right, so just to clarify on that, because I didn't pick it up the first time, the actual bonus songs with the guest artists are songs on the album, just redone with the guest artists.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like you get two versions, you get two for the price of one. Well, I
That's a
think
good
you get
idea.
two for one,
Was
unless the
that your
bonus
idea?
unless the bonus CD costs more, then you don't get two for the price of one. You get two for the price of whatever it is.
It's a great idea. Was that one your idea?
No, that was Herman's idea. So, like I said, he takes care of all these kind of things. I just write them songs and hope they sound okay.
Yeah. Now, Dragonforce have got a reputation of being the world's fastest band, mate. Like, is that something you try to live up to when writing an album? Like, do you keep that in the back of your mind that you've gotta be that band?
No, I mean, to be honest, we just write music that we like, and that's all you can do. I mean, I could turn my start. I mean, I've tried before. I did a long time ago. We did a song called "The Game," which was at 240 BPM, which was the fastest we ever did. Like most of our standard songs, like "Through the Fire and Flames," there's like they're all 200 BPM. If you're musical at all.
I can't even spell.
Okay. Okay. Well, it basically means that's how fast a normal Dragonforce song is. So so I did one at 240, which was actually I was interested to know how fast all the old thrash bands that I used to like Sepultura and Slayer and Creator. I thought, oh, I wonder what speed their fastest was, because it seemed like it was a bit faster than us. So I listened to like I think it was Beneath the Remains or something, and it was like 240 BPM. I was like, oh, okay, we can't have that. Well, I'll have to like. So that was a specific point to go as fast as you could, and that worked. But I just felt like it wasn't the best speed for our power metal music. It worked for that song, but I wouldn't want to do it all day long. I still think 200 is better for most of our stuff. So we did try it, and but now I mean yeah, like I said, I just like write songs that I think sound good, and it's not so much trying to be as fast as possible, but we happen to like playing fast. So if we're still faster than everyone else, then that's good. So yeah.
Yeah. You and Herman are recognised, like, rightfully recognised as two of the best guitarists out there, mate. But do you write, like, when you write an album, like, do you play each other's solos, or that you write, or do you just write guitar parts for yourself, or like will you write something Herman does and vice versa?
Yeah, well, it kind of depends, because there's a lot of double harmony parts on the album. A lot of all the leads that are not actually a guitar solo are like harmonized. So I'm playing all that on the album and writing them. But then when we come to do the gigs, then obviously Herman has to learn one half of that. And then a lot of our actual guitar solos are also harmonized. So we have to learn each other's solos to do that too, which is it can be quite difficult because you're learning someone else's technique. So and it's the funny thing is actually over the years, if you listen to our two styles, they've actually kind of come more similar just because we've had to learn each other's techniques over the years. So we do try to not be similar. Like sometimes like I'll play something and he'll be like, oh, can you change that? It sounds too much like my playing. And I'd say the same thing to him. I was like, I already did that on the solo just before. So can you do something else? And yeah, that's kind of funny how it's evolved over the years. But yeah, I mean, we always get on well. We pick the parts that are to our strengths or whatever. Sometimes I always used to say, well, I want to play the lead part and you can play the harmony because I wrote it or whatever. But then sometimes it might be something that he actually plays not more nicely live. So I'll be like, all right, you can do that. And so it's more difficult to learn the harmony part because it's all like off where you would expect it to be on the guitar. So that's something we've always kind of like complained to each other about, but it's all good fun.
I want to take it back in time a bit, bro. Like you and Herman started Dragonforce back in 1999. So what was that musical climate like that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in initially?
Well, the funny thing was we just wanted we had never started the band thinking that we would like make a living out of it or anything like that. We just did it because we really loved the music. You know, and actually I don't think when we first started, we sort of the bands that I liked that we were that I was listening to, we almost felt like we'd missed the boat a bit because I was listening to Stratovarius and Rhapsody, stuff like that back in '99. And they had already kind of, it's hard to say, but I felt that they'd already sort of reached their peak, and they were all on sort of their third album and stuff. and I thought, well, we're kind of like a bit behind, and I didn't, even though we were trying to do something new, I was trying to take that music and put a new fresh touch on it by making everything much faster and adding like a lot of more extreme stuff. You know, we were doing blast beats and power metal, and we had like, you know, death metal vocals and stuff, which no one had really done and that kind of thing. So I think it's almost like we didn't appreciate that we were doing something that was quite different, even though we did. It's hard to explain, but so we didn't really felt like we did fittings. We were trying to like do something like more than the bands that we were listening to were, but we weren't really sure if anyone would like it or not, because we thought, oh, well, the only people that are going to like this are going to be the sort of power metal fans. But then actually we found that we got a whole new wave of fans that weren't necessarily power metal fans in the beginning. So and it kind of took off like that, which we never would have expected. You know, we had all these like people like that. We basically just got a lot of people liking us that we wouldn't have expected to like us. So yeah, it turned out pretty well, actually.
Yeah, it's fair to say that you've gone on to be one of the biggest bands in the world, mate. So at what point did you sort of sit back and go, yeah, I think we're going to be able to do this for a living?
Well, I never take anything for granted. You know, you never know like when people won't like you anymore. But thankfully, we're still going 20 years later and making a decent living at it. So it's been amazing. I always tell people I feel so lucky that I got to do this and not have to get a job. My main goal when I was 25 or whatever was to not, well, actually, no, my main goal when I was 18 was to not get a job. And so I pretty much managed to I think I've only worked a normal job like about 3 or 4 years of my life. So I really cannot complain at all. It's amazing. And but yeah, I think it was about 2005 or 6, I think. That was when I first got a decent paycheck, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I won't go to work. I didn't have a job then anyway, but I was trying to get one. So I was like, oh, well, I won't bother then. So yeah, since then, it's been great.
Sweet. Now, how would you say the band's sound has grown and changed from your debut Valley of the Damned in 2003 to Warp Speed Warriors?
I think we've all got better as musicians, obviously, and we've changed a few musicians over the years. But I mean, as far as I mean, I'm still kind of, when I listen back to like those first 2 albums, I feel like it's definitely a bit simpler. Like my songwriting, especially, it was a bit more basic. But I think I don't think we've changed as much as a lot of bands. I feel like we fit more into, say, the Slayer category. Who had like stayed the same, but were still putting out quality material, rather than say Metallica category, who like changed a lot and like put out however you feel about their material. But yeah, I feel like we, because I always thought, well, there's 2 paths you can take. You can either change all the time, and that works great for some bands. You know, like something like I've watched Bring Me the Horizon. They've done great. They've changed quite a bit over the years, but it's always got bigger, everything that they've done. And so it definitely works for some people. But then I also saw Slayer and saw that they stayed on top of their game by kind of just sticking to the same style, but doing it well. And I think personally, I mean, we don't plan things like in a business sense. Obviously, you still play music for your own entertainment and pleasure. But I think I'd like to think that our albums now are just as good quality, if not better, than they were in the beginning, which I think it's quite a hard thing to do. When I listen to bands that I've been a fan of for 20 years, you know, quality of their albums, this is like in all styles of music, by the way, like a lot of bands' quality goes up and down or side to side or whatever, but without blowing my own trumpet, I think we're pretty great.
I'll second that notion, brother. Now, you've got a tour coming up with Amaranthi and Infected Rain, mate. Where's that going to, and where can people get tickets?
That's going around Europe and UK. Starts in a week, actually, so I need to start
February 21st to March 24th.
That's right, yeah. 20, yeah, that's correct. And yeah, I guess they can look up the dates on the internet.
Yeah.
Everyone's got that these days instead of me rattling them off. But yeah, no, that's going to be a good tour. It should be fun. We just toured with Amaranth and in the States, and it's a great time. It's a good package. I think our music's like, it's different, but it's also, I think, the same if you like one, you should like the other. You know, it's not too kind of.
And all
crazy.
three of you have got new albums out or coming out too, and they're all fucking good albums. So that's another reason.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I've loved Amaranth for like since their first album. Actually, I remember we were in the studio. I think we're probably recording either in Human Rampage or Sonic Firestorm, and our old keyboard player Vadim, I think he found it, and he's like, "Oh man, you got to listen to this. It's amazing!" Like, and he brought it in, and then we all loved it. Yeah, we've been listening to it since then. So we never toured with them before, which was quite weird because we've known them for years, and it's one of those things that it just never happened. And now we're doing 2 tours. So, that's pretty cool.
I'd be shot if I didn't ask, mate. But as you look at bringing the tour over to Australia eventually,
I don't know. The thing is, like, we would love to come back there, but it's not really. I mean, that's something that's more up to, you know, all the people that are not me, promoters, booking agents. Like Herman takes care of a lot of that stuff. So, but I know that I've heard some talk about it. So, I mean, I'd like to think it will happen because it's been a long time since we were there, and you know, we always have a great time there. So I can't give you anything for sure, but I know that I've definitely heard some talk about it, and as a band we would love to. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out too, because a lot of Australian people in Australia quite often go on about the fact that you haven't toured here for a long time, but what they don't realise is that your stage show is that immense, and it's got that much going on with it. Like, for you to bring your whole stage show over here, it's going to cost a lot of money, and you don't want to tour half-assed and leave it all behind. So you're stuck in a bit of a conundrum.
That's very true. Yeah, that's the thing, because we want to like our stage, like you said, it's changed so much over the last sort of 5 years or so, and if we want to show people what we can really do now with the whole package, and yeah, like you said, it's just a matter of, it's a bit more logistics than the old days. You know, in the old days we just jump on the plane with a suitcase and a guitar and off you go. But you know, we could still do that, and I mean, I know a lot of people would maybe don't care about seeing a big fancy stage show, but you know, we as a band, you want to do your best you can, whether it's musically or stage show and everything like that. So we're working on it though, for sure. I mean, I'm really keen to find a way to make it happen, and I think Herman is too. So yeah, we'll keep you posted, and you'll be the first to know.
Beautiful, Sam. All right, bro. Well, thanks very much for your time, mate. Warp Speed Warrior is out March the 15th, and she's a cracker of an album, as you would expect. And thanks for taking the time to join us, mate.
No, anytime. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad you appreciated that I brushed my hair just for you. Now I can take my hat off and be myself again.
You're trying to say I don't let you be yourself?
Yeah, no, that's fine.